Everyone knows Bambi's mom dies. I only saw the original Bambi once or twice when I was a kid, and though I recall a sense of loss, I wasn't shocked or scarred by the death of Bambi's mom. I'm pretty sure someone had warned me before I sat down to watch. But I recently watched Bambi again to prep for this video, and I was shocked by the power of that moment. Disney pulls out all the stops to make us feel the blow. The score maintains a constant presence throughout the rest of the film. Cymbals clap with the hooves of bucks. A choir fills the role of the wind. Bells chime to the tune of every raindrop. But here, our faithful companion abandons us. The music cuts out, and the audience absorbs its absence like another death.
Your mother can't be with you anymore.
Then the shock fades, and the score wells up with Bambi's grief.
Come, my son.
Bambi's father turns away. Bambi allows himself one last backward glance at the meadow, back at his old life with his mother, and dutifully follows the great prince into the mist. Today, this transition from abject grief to horny gaiety borders on parody. The film flees from its traumatic past into the vapidly cheerful. In all fairness, Bambi was a revolutionary film for 1942. Family movies were still a new concept, and none had ever taken this kind of risk. After half an hour of animated fun and wonder, audiences were completely blindsided by the death of a beloved mother figure.
We made it, Mother!
Yeah, we made it, Mom!
Wait.
What?
Mother!
What the hell? Mother! Hey! Bambi's mom! Mom! Where are you? Bambi's mom!
Despite Walt's attempts to soften the blow with blossoms and birdsong, this film served as many kids' first brush with death, and that shock still haunts the American cultural consciousness. The rest of Bambi's runtime tends to blur out around this singular, crystalline moment of loss, to the point that many people misremember the death as the film's hook, positioned at the start of the film rather than the middle. As Daniel Calder wrote for Unheard, Bambi, in fact, is more than a film. It's part of our cultural fabric. Like Sherlock Holmes or Superman, you don't need to engage with the source material to know something about it. Specifically, the crucial plot point: Bambi's mother dies. Everybody heard about it, even kids who hadn't seen the movie, Calder said. It was in the air, like kryptonite, or elementary, my dear Watson. Back in 1942, when the film premiered, the Second World War demanded a projection of strength from the American public. For however brief a moment, Bambi invited adults to grieve alongside this little fawn, for the loss of their innocence, for the cruelty and unfairness of life, for the loved ones who would never return home. However, if viewers were looking for catharsis, they wouldn't get it from Bambi. Walt wanted to kill the mom and erase her. Bambi doesn't get the chance to say goodbye to his mother, or see her, nuzzle her, go to a deer funeral. Bambi's hot potato approach to death gives the film an uncanny, unresolved quality, especially next to more contemporary films like Land Before Time, The Lion King, Lilo and Stitch, Brother Bear, Finding Nemo, even Onward, films that not only feature the death of a family member, but build their whole thesis around the concept of loss. Lion King co-director Rob Minkoff told Yahoo Movies, "I remember when we were making The Lion King, we would talk about Bambi. The difference, though, is when Bambi's mom gets shot, she just disappears from the movie."
You never see her again, then his dad shows up and says, "Your mother can't be with you anymore."
Yeah.
And then it's really sad. And then they go to this new song called, it's like a spring song, and they're all singing, the birds are singing happily in the trees.
Yeah.
And it's really disturbing. So actually, we were thinking, no, he needs to deal with the fact that his father died. We need to kind of bring some closure to it.
I feel like Minkoff hits the nail on the head here. I'm less disturbed by the death of Bambi's mom as a story beat than by the film's refusal to look back on the fact. So here's the odd thing. The movie is based on the 1923 book Bambi, A Life in the Woods by Felix Salten, a Jewish author living in Austria. In the novel, the loss of Bambi's mother ripples through almost every chapter. Her death delivers the first blow to Bambi's psyche, with each subsequent trauma widening the wound until at last Bambi succumbs to his depression and abandons society for a hole under a tree. Yeah, the book was about conservation, the horrors of World War I, the plight of minority groups under authoritarianism, and the false security of assimilation. I don't have time to add another soapbox to my tower right now, but if you want a video about how Walt Disney looked at this and went, "Herdider, cute deer, go wee!" then let me know and I'll get to work on a follow-up video. Walt, still reeling from the loss of his own mother, first planned to show the mother deer's lifeless body hit the ground. This storyboard never made the final cut, but somehow a subset of viewers still remember the corpse. Everybody knows Bambi's mother dies, and I specifically remember seeing her dead body, wrote Walulu in r/Mandela Effect, who watched Bambi for a film class. I was shocked when I realized that never actually happens in the movie. I thought maybe it had been censored. After the film ended, I talked about it with my classmates, and some of them also remember Bambi's mother's body. In my memory, it's just Bambi's mom lying on the ground, and it's a close image. It's dark and it's snowing. Another girl from my class says she also remembers it exactly like that. I remember it very clearly because as a kid, it had really shocked me. Indeed, this fan art by Mexican artist Rodolfo Loaiza is often mistaken for a screen cap. Here, I come back to Minkoff's quote, "We need to bring some closure." Bambi's mother, like the soldiers overseas, simply vanished one day. A body offers some small amount of closure, permission to process the loss and take steps to move on. An absent body, however, invites the imagination to fill in the gaps with grisly embellishment. I wonder how many viewers created this false memory of Bambi's mother in pursuit of closure. I suspect the decision to show Mufasa's body in The Lion King was a direct response to the death of Bambi's mom and the disappearance that left Minkoff so disturbed. Mufasa's corpse, however morbid, gives us something tangible to grieve, and spares us any exaggerative visions of a trampled lion body. Mufasa's death still shook audiences, of course, but the pain was made visible, and therefore processable. When Simba tries to escape his traumatic past, a monkey clocks him over the head with a stick.
Ow! Jeez, what was that for? It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
Yeah, but it still hurts.
Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it.
I don't mean to paint The Lion King as the better portrayal of grief or whatever. Different people will find one film more relatable than the other, and that's fine. But I will argue that Bambi left a kind of cultural scar for 64 years, at which point Disney Studios went, "Hey, didn't we make a deer movie one time?" So now we come to Bambi 2, a movie I was inexplicably obsessed with when I was 10.
But Bambi, a prince does not.
He doesn't?
He certainly does not.
Disney's direct-to-home video era is distinguished by an aura of obligation. Nightmares like Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 didn't spring to life out of artistic passion. Their production was mandated by Daddy Eisner. And when Bambi 2 director Brian Pimentel looked at Bambi, he saw potential. Much of the Disney catalog consisted of tight, closed-loop stories with no room for embellishment. But here was a story with several chapters ripped out of its heart. Here was an open wound left untreated for over 60 years. So Pimentel & Co. seized the opportunity to provide some closure. Bambi 2 picks up right at the death of Bambi's mother.
Mom!
Your mother can't be with you anymore. Come.
In Sultan's book, a curmudgeon-y old doe named Netla looks after Bambi in his mother's stead, and Bambi spends the following year in frustrated isolation. In Pimentel's version of the story, the great prince himself takes on the role of Bambi's caregiver. The film chronicles Bambi and the prince's slow progression from mentor and pupil to father and son. The death of Bambi's mother instigates this new connection between Bambi and the great prince, but also works as a wedge between them. Some part of Bambi still expects his mother to return, and the prince seems too afraid of further heartbreak to open up to his son. In their own ways, both father and son find themselves unable to move on from the death of Bambi's mother, a fact that contradicts the prince's core philosophy, don't look back.
Mother says so. I remember this one time, Mother and I were out on the
Bambi?
meadow, and this fawn came up to me and Mother and wanted to
Bambi.
play, and...
I think it's best to leave the past in the past. A prince does not look back, only ahead.
In fact, as Bambi and his mother fled from the hunters, his mother made a similar refrain. Her last words to Bambi were,
Don't look back! Keep running! Keep running!
This is the central conflict of Bambi 2. For a deer, survival demands constant motion. The time skip from the original film takes this advice to heart. The story leaps ahead to safer ground, never stopping to reflect upon the body hiding in its shadow. When I describe midquels as a kind of purgatory, I mean, with a prequel, the audience knows where the story ends, but the author can play around with how the story came to be. With a sequel, the audience knows where the story left off, but not what happens next. Your typical midquel, meanwhile, demands that any development follow a circle. Both your start and end point as an author are predetermined by the original work. How does an author instill any narrative tension when the audience knows from the get-go who lives and who dies? How does an author pursue a character arc when the character, by mandate of the original text, can't regress or progress enough to conflict with their original timeline? Midquels are notorious nothing burgers for this reason. Their format requires the text to maintain a certain status quo. So yeah, Disney Toon Studios decided to pursue a midquel, a famously stagnant narrative format, to tell a story about change and the path forward after tragedy. Weird flex, but okay. Mark me down as confused but intrigued. I'm not gonna lie to you, squad. Bambi 2 is fucking weird. These beautiful backdrops are a testament to the Disney Toon artist's skill, but their software was too new, or their deadlines too steep for the crew to fully capture Tyrus Wong's original watercolor magic. At first glance, Wong's backgrounds are soft, blurred out. A closer look, however, reveals patterns of texture and curated hard edges. It's the juxtaposition of watercolor blur and chiseled texture which creates a sense of depth. In contrast, even the more defined details of Bambi 2's backgrounds maintain a wet-on-wet oil paint edge, giving the forest a certain ephemeral quality. The animals' defined outlines and flat colors isolate them from their hazy surroundings. From its midquel format to its art style to its score, Bambi 2 is a battleground between past and present, old versus new. 2000's animation software fights to resurrect the watercolor styles of old, and emerges with a kind of ghostly technicolor haze, made stark by the sharp relief of its animal inhabitants. Bruce Boughton's lovely traditionalist score builds upon the complex soundscape of the original film, only to be gunned down by the contemporary pop song and Affront Against God, the first sign of spring.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
All these conflicted elements make for a confused final product, but I kinda like the chaos on a meta level. It feels appropriate for a story about a father and child caught between the past and future.
Mother's resting now, isn't she? Oh, I forgot. A prince leaves the past in the past, right?
That's enough questions for today.
Hello there! I quit my retail job!
I made a colored pencil middle grade graphic novel about flying rabbits, arson, and my experience with autistic masking. Check it out, maybe ? I've sent the sequel script to my editor. You can follow my socials for updates and bunny photos. Also, to Neil Flowers, a fantastic critic and animator, agreed to let me pick his brain about Bambi. If you're hungry for additional commentary on Bambi 2, Disney history, and all sorts of behind-the-scenes tidbits, you can check the description for a podcast version of our conversation.
Are you gonna donate to the Patreon? I don't think they're gonna donate to the Patreon, you guys. Yeah, you gotta pay rent. Somehow. This is getting out of hand.
Bambi 2 is full of ghosts. We open on an old voice clip from the original film, first recorded by Fred Shields, an actor who died 30 years prior to the midquel's release.
Your mother can't be with you anymore.
Mom!
Your mother can't be with you anymore. Come.
Then we divert to Patrick Stewart for the rest of the film.
You can't throw a child at a wall.
Barrymore, shut your face!
About 20 minutes into Bambi 2, Bambi dreams of his dead mother. He wakes only for his mother's voice to call out to him through the woods.
Hello? I'm here. Mother?
No matter how many times I watch this scene, it still puts me on edge. Like, you've got this silly, cheerful facade, and then all at once, bam. Bambi is chasing a ghost. His mother's affect, puppeteered by the omnipotent hand of man. And on a meta level, they reanimated his mom. You get the joke. You reanimated his mom.
Mother?
The voice lures Bambi out into the expressionist blur of the meadow. Suddenly, crows burst from the tree line. Their cries less pa than ma, mom, man. The film's art style shifts into the prismatic chiaroscuro of its predecessor. The past and present blur as the hunters take aim at Bambi's father. The Great Prince snaps Bambi out of his stupor, and the present reasserts itself with the film's contemporary art style. The Great Prince leads Bambi back to their hideaway.
She's never coming back, is she?
No.
Then Bambi's dad goes to stand in the rain like he's in an anime OP.
See, man's got this stick that can make his voice sound like one of us.
It's true that hunters will mimic a mother's bleat to her fawn as a way to relax or summon nearby deer, but Toon Studio's decision to reuse Carolyn Hennessy's voice gives this parlor trick a necromantic tinge. Like the American audiences of the 40s, this film is haunted by the ghost of Bambi's mother. Until this moment, Bambi was able to delude himself that maybe, just maybe, his mother never really died. Maybe she's still out there waiting for him in the meadow. Her specter summons Bambi back to the site of her death, where he nearly meets the same fate. It's like death itself is courting Bambi, leveraging his denial like a lure. Like the first film, with its tonal kickflip from familial death to gay birds, Bambi 2 scurries back to the relative safety of cute animals and fart jokes. Then Mina, Bambi's new surrogate mother, sets off a hunting trap.
Faster, Bambi! Don't look back! Keep running! Keep running!
Where have I heard that before?
Faster, Bambi! Don't look back! Keep running! Keep running!
In the Great Prince's mind, looking back is dangerous. He believes the only way to move forward is to leave the past to die. Of course, I beg to differ. How are you supposed to heal when you can't look back on the past? Unless Bambi and the Great Prince stop and acknowledge the death of Bambi's mother, her ghost will haunt them forever. In the last leg of Felix Salten's book, Bambi and his maybe father take up residence together on the far side of the woods, separated from the rest of Bambi's friends and family by a deep gully. Sometimes Bambi yearns for companionship, but he knows these attachments will only put him at risk of danger and heartbreak. When Bambi had been younger, the old prince had taught him that he must learn to live alone. Then and afterward, the old prince revealed many of his insights and secrets to him. But of all of his teachings, the most important one was you must learn to live alone. If you want to protect yourself, if you want to grasp the meaning of existence, if you want to attain wisdom, you had to learn to live alone.
I may finally have found a place where I can be all alone. 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 Alone.
Then the older prince shows Bambi a human corpse and goes off to die in a hole somewhere.
Hey kids, want to see a dead body?
I've already touched on Disney's egregious departure from the source material, but even in the sacrilegious Disney film, Bambi ends the story alone, situated high above the other forest animals, as his father wanders away to go learn to play golf or whatever. Back to Bambi 2. In this moment with Mina, Bambi has a choice to make. He can honor his mother's last words and keep running, or he can turn around and face his past.
Bambi!
A near miss seems to prove the great prince right. Love only leads to heartbreak. To protect yourself, you must live alone. We see the prince steel himself as he leaves Bambi's corpse behind, ready to push ahead like always. But lo, by midquel mandate or miracle, Bambi survives. Overwhelmed with relief, the great prince finds the courage to bare his heart for all to see.
I'm here. I'm here.
In this finale, Bambi saves Mina, but also himself and his father. The film already established a symbiosis between father and son. We see the prince teach Bambi how to survive, while Bambi teaches the prince how to live. The dog attack forces the great prince to face reality. Solitude won't keep you safe. The techniques Bambi learned through his friends and family were what ultimately saved his life.
Looky who's here. Guess somebody didn't learn their lesson.
I learned plenty.
In turn, a twist of fate allows Bambi to reenact the moment of his mother's death, only this time, he's able to save her. Bambi's triumph creates a much-needed sense of closure. When the prince shows he's ready to accept his role as Bambi's father, he gives the audience permission to reframe the original timeline. Rather than carnage, we're invited to imagine scenes of growth and connection. We're reassured that Bambi and his father were given time to reflect upon the past and support each other through their grief.
This is where I first met your mother.
Really?
Yes. I was just about your age.
The end of Bambi 2 promises a future so unlike the oppressive solitude of Frank Salton's book as to generate an alternate universe. It's the paradox of trauma recovery. To move forward, you must turn back. It's revisionist history. It's closure as time travel. It's 2 stars on Rotten Tomatoes. Above all, it's a Bamboline 5K fluff and angst canon-related fix-it-fic, no beta, we die like Bambi's mom. I must have rented Bambi 2 a dozen times as a kid, and after all these years, I still find myself fascinated by Bambi 2's discordant, vaguely haunted yet optimistic vibe. I'm sure Disney's upcoming live-action remake will only compound upon that sense of
potentially younger audience
dissonance. Oh my god.
The story of Bambi will apparently be told in a more contemporary way.
Oh no.
In order to not confront the audience with the topic of death too much, according to co-writer Lindsay Anderson Beer in an interview with Collider. She does not want to spoil the plot, but with regard to the death of a mother, some children and parents are more sensitive nowadays than they were in the past. She thinks it would be useful to the original.
I'm gonna go pick some red clover by the side of the highway and try to forget about the heat death of civilization. Thank you so much to my patrons for making this Dead Deer deep dive possible. Shout out to the Princes of the Forest, Achutha Ananda, Acute Latios, Amy Holschwander, Benji M, Broomhilda, Canby Coy, Dane, Ginny Brown, Glowy, Griffin Nerf, Giant, Mika 13, Miranda, Anna Doodles, Rabout, Solhastalitha, and Vera Wild. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. All the good vibes from the void, and until next time, see ya, sinners.